Hey everybody, this is Chris here with Daily Motor, and today we've got the infotainment tour and demo on the 2022 Ford Bronco and its 12-inch Sync 4 touchscreen infotainment system. Before we get started, let's hop out and take a look at this particular Bronco because it's a little bit different than a normal one. So I don't have it running right now, so you guys don't have to listen to the engine, but this is the 2022 Ford Bronco Raptor, meaning it's packing a 3-liter twin turbocharged V6 engine as opposed to a 2.7 or a 2.3 that you get in just a regular Bronco. We're not going to talk about really any of the Raptor specific things today in the infotainment video, but if you want to learn more about the Bronco Raptor, make sure to check the links in the description for our review as well as anything else we decide to film on this pretty sweet SUV. Cool, well now that you know what it looks like, let's hop inside and take a look at some of the technology in this 2022 Ford Bronco. So we'll take a quick look here at this digital cluster, but we're mainly going to be looking at this Sync 4 touchscreen. You can see full power accessory active because the car isn't on running wise, but it's a pretty cool display. There's not too much in here. You've got my view, you've got your Raptor status. If you're off-roading, you can see all of your different modes here. You've got your trip, and then you also have what's called performance view, which is pretty sweet. This is for if you're doing some performance driving. You've got temperatures and pressures on the left, a big central rev counter, and then tire pressure over on the right-hand side. So a pretty cool display there. You've got 4 buttons here at the bottom of the steering wheel, all of which adjust what mode different aspects of the car are in. You can see we've got 4 different modes for the exhaust. We've got, I'll let that think for a second. Now, it's not letting me adjust the suspension, but there's 3 different modes for the suspension and the steering as well. And you've also got My Mode where you can set up everything to your liking, as you can see there. But we'll go ahead and put this back into its normal setting as such. So you saw there the animation also for drive modes. Pretty neat looking. Okay. That's all we're really going to touch on the gauge cluster because I really want to focus on this Sync 4 infotainment system. You can see I've got up here the serial number. You can see which version it is and everything if you're curious about that. This will give you all of the info as such. But I've always struggled with these Ford infotainment systems because sometimes you'll get in one and it works great, and then other times you get in one and it lags so bad that you just have no interest in using it at all and you just ride around in silence. I've got to be honest, before we get started, my first impressions with this infotainment system were not great. I got into this Bronco Raptor to drive it for the first time last week, and I could not for the life of me get my phone to play music. So I could get CarPlay to connect. It's wireless CarPlay in this car, and I got CarPlay to connect just fine. As you can see, here it is, it's connected. But on Spotify, it was playing the music through my phone and not through the car. I disconnected multiple times, restarted the car, restarted my phone, nothing fixed it. It took the car sitting overnight for it to start working, but other than that, it's actually been quite all right. So with all of that out of the way, let's go ahead and dive into this infotainment system. Overall, I would say it's a pretty attractive display. You've got 6 tabs here at the bottom that take you to different functions of the infotainment screen. You've also got a subscreen or a split screen here on the right that you can switch function of by scrolling here. Quite a few different options in here. Audio, what you're listening to, zone lighting, off-road status, pitch and roll, trip computer, and phone, and navigation there at the end. I'm not huge on this whole split screen design. I haven't found a way to get rid of it. I don't really think that you can. You can also go through a trip computer. Oh, yeah, you can also scroll through it this way. There's different ways to scroll through it. But I don't know, it's always like there's something on here that just bothers my OCD with like, okay, I have this here. Why do I also need a split screen, and why can I not then close it? Anyways, that's all the split screen does. It's really not anything exciting. But over here on the left-hand side, bottom left tab, audio, you can see that'll take you to all of your different audio sources. Let's go ahead and hop here onto FM and we'll show you some of the function. Obviously you have a volume knob here on this Bronco. We love to see that, but you also have a tune knob over here on the right. So if you're a passenger in the car, you want to change the radio station, you're able to quickly do that with this tune knob, and it does feel quite nice. You've also got track select buttons here. If you don't want to use the knob, you can use these two buttons on either side of the pause and play button. Auto stop start off, cameras, and park assist are also among this menu here with both knobs. Pretty easy to use, and you've even got function here on the touchscreen if that's how you'd want to do it. So you've got a lot of different ways to switch radio stations, which is pretty nice to see. And back to sources here, you can see you've got the option for Sirius XM, Bluetooth audio, or a quick access back to Apple CarPlay, which will take you to Spotify. You can see what song I'm listening to there. We'll take a look at CarPlay a little bit later. We're going to skip over that for now because I'll show you CarPlay and Android Auto. Here's the navigation screen. We do have this in dark mode right now. You can see there's a little bit of lag here as I drag my finger. It's not the fastest reacting navigation map that I've ever seen, although doing this isn't super important. But I like to kind of judge infotainment systems off of how fast the map moves and reacts. And this one is decent. It's not the best in the world. Navigation menu over here on the left for waypoints, traffic, things to avoid. Honestly, though, it's pretty decent. Oh, looks like this car spent some time in Palm Springs, California. Kind of neat. Must have been on the launch event. Got favorites there. So a pretty intuitive navigation. I mean, what more can you ask for? Most people are just going to be using their phone projection anyways, so for an in-house navigation, it's not too bad. You've got apps here, Apple CarPlay, Android Auto, another just shortcut to phone projection. As I said, I'll show you Android Auto later. You can also put mobile apps on here if you have a Ford Pass account, whatever else you're doing, if you actually own this car, but this is not my car, so I don't have anything installed on here. The settings menu is going to be the most in-depth thing on this entire infotainment. You can see it reacts decently quick. The menus go kind of slowly between each other. Not too bad. Phone list, clock settings, general settings, navigation settings, sound display, vehicle connectivity, hotspot apps, updates, assist, 911 assist, and valet mode. We'll go ahead and go into our display settings. We are in night mode right now. We'll take a look at day mode. It's just going to brighten things up a little bit. Ooh, and it makes everything white. Quite a bit harder on the eyes when you're in day mode. Cycle through here. You can also put it in auto though, and it'll go, it'll run white during the day and black at night. I just have been running it in night mode because it's much easier on the eyes. See, it takes a while to take that input there. You can also go to a calm screen if you would prefer to have that while you're rolling down the road. Touch it once and it takes you back to your settings. General settings in here. I'll let you take a look at these. I won't read them all, but you can take a look. Let's turn that beep off for the rest of the review. Sound settings in here for our B&O premium sound system. If you're curious to learn more about the sound system, make sure to check links in the description. We do have a review up on it. That's just about it for the settings menu. There's really not too much in here. You can see features here, our driver assist menu. Let you take a look at all of these that you can toggle on and off. Make you scroll a whole page just to toggle off and on driver alert. Got your towing menu here. The car will run through an entire checklist, zone lighting. Cool. Well, that pretty much shows everything here in this infotainment display. We've got a couple different options here at the top. You can set your clock by just tapping on the clock. You can toggle it over to 24-hour mode as well if you'd like. And I recommend keeping it on auto time update because then you never even have to click up there. These arrows here will take you to your status information. You can see if your wireless charger is wirelessly charging or not. Connected vehicle features. You also have a shortcut up here to your phone list, which is nice. You can see that my iPhone is in here as well as the Topher's iPhone. And then these over here, you can touch them all you want, but they don't take you to anything. It's so funny because you touch the temperature up here, which is outside temperature, and it turns blue like it's going to take you somewhere, but then it does not. Okay, So that's, I mean, it's quite a simple infotainment. There's really not much to it. And other than that weird Apple CarPlay issue I was having earlier this week, it hasn't been that bad of a system. So let's take a brief dive here into Apple CarPlay. We'll show you how fast this reacts, which is pretty quickly. We don't have a wide view. We just have 4 apps across, 2 apps down. And you can see our apps here. Let's take a look through Spotify. Oops, did that wrong. See, there's the frame rate is a little bit slow. Take a look here at Google Maps. Ooh, that reacts pretty quickly. You can see Google Maps moves around quite nice. Here's Waze. Seems to react pretty. Waze has been working a lot more recently. Waze went through a phase where it just like didn't work. Okay, so there's Apple CarPlay. You've seen the rest of the infotainment. There's only one thing left to do, and that is to please the Android users here and show you guys Android Auto. Oh, I've just clicked the temperature there with the Android phone. Charlie gave me this Chinese phone that I don't really know how to use, but we're just going to go ahead and wire this in. I should mention that we do have wireless Apple CarPlay and wireless Android Auto functionality, but I couldn't be bothered to wirelessly connect the Android, so we're just going to line in the Android here. So that means we probably go, oh, we were just there, apps, Android Auto, on the Android device. It doesn't even give it a name, it's just Android device. Connect to Android Auto, yes, disconnect from CarPlay. We'll be able to see, I'm actually curious to see, yeah, enable. I'm curious to see how this looks on here, because a lot of the time Android Auto looks kind of low quality, and looks to be the same here. It's slightly lower resolution, and it also usually lags quite a bit. So let's see how it works here on Sync 4 in the Ford Raptor, or excuse me, the Ford Bronco. Okay, hit our home button here. This is an inactive phone, so we don't have some of the functions on here, but we can go into YouTube Music and scroll that. Okay, not too bad. Something just creaked behind the dash. Facebook Messenger, perhaps? Nope, no messages. So, I don't know. I mean, we've got just a fairly standard display here for Android Auto. Honestly, it looks better and works better than other infotainment systems that support Android Auto. I think it fits nicely in this box. The thing about Android Auto is you don't get a wide view, so regardless of this subscreen here, it would still look the same. I do wish we had a wide view for Apple CarPlay. That would be quite a bit nicer, but you know, you get what you get, I suppose, and the slightly shorter view is not so bad. So that'll wrap it up here for this infotainment tour, this brief infotainment, just kind of a walkthrough of how this infotainment system works, and you can see how it reacts, the frame rate, the resolution, all of that. It's better than I was expecting. Is it the best infotainment system ever? No, it's not. If I were to give this a rating on a tier system, I'd probably give it like a B-. It does everything you need it to do. It's decently attractive, and it works most of the time. It's quite functional. You still have some knobs down here. Yes, I count knobs as part of this whole infotainment system. And the cluster is pretty neat as well. So that'll wrap up my thoughts here. I wish it had a wider view for Apple CarPlay, and I wish things just reacted a little bit quicker. But overall, not too bad of a system. So thank you all so much for watching. This has been Chris here with Daily Motor, and as always, drive on.